Hello and welcome to another MovieBoozer.com virtual pubcast. I'm your host, Ken Ekman, returning, and today we have Bill Leon, Bill Arsenault, and Hawk Ripjaw will be joining us a little bit later.
Hey.
Just to bring you guys up to speed a little bit on my situation, I am currently I'm currently in a hospital bed. I'm unable to get out, so I can't go to see new movies. So for the time being, I will not be able to talk about new movies with personal experience until this situation has finished. It should only take it'll take a few weeks. There's some recovery I have to go through, but I'm fine and all is good. So without further ado, though, Bill Leon, you saw Pirates of the Caribbean, the new one. Isn't that the subtitle?
Oh, I wish. No, the subtitle is Dead.
The new one.
Dead Men Tell No Tales is the subtitle, which right before the title comes up on the screen, there's a cold open, and Javier Bardem's character says "Dead Men Tell No Tales," and I was like, oh, that didn't take long.
The titular scene.
Yeah.
That's so cliche, and that trope has been done so many times before. At this point, it's like it was a joke when it started in the 70s or the 80s. You just don't do it anymore.
There are times and places for a titular line. Sometimes it can work if it's worked in just right.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that.
I remember in The World Is Not Enough, the James Bond movie, he actually says, "The world is not enough." I thought, okay, well, that kind of fits in the particular scenario.
Thematically,
but it does.
Thematically,
to be fair, "The World Is Not Enough" is actually in Fleming books. It is the Bond family, like it's on the family crest. So
yeah,
it was certainly, that line in the movie was a little forced in there, but it has a reason to be a line in a Bond story. I'll give it that.
So the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, The Curse of the Black Pearl, it's pretty well regarded as a good movie. I was curious to ask you guys, do you have any personal flaws with it, or things you don't like about the first Pirates movie?
The very first Pirates movie, I enjoy quite a bit even today. I had a little bit of a problem with some of the CG on like the zombie elements. But then again,
I don't know if that could have been helped, just because that's where we were in 2002, 2003, whenever that was.
And it's not altogether all that bad. And to be frank, the movie wraps up in a pretty good way. So I still am nostalgic over that first one. I saw it when I was on vacation in Alaska with my cousin, my brother and my cousin Tyler. The three of us were sitting there, and we had a free day before we were going to go on another trip up there, and so we went to the theater, and it was a really fun experience for the three of us.
I have fun with that movie. Bill, have you watched that movie?
No, I've actually never seen a Pirates movie in full.
Oh,
I've
really?
only watched clips off of television. And
one thing I will say,
what I see is it looks okay. I'm sorry. From what I see of them, they look okay, but I can't tell you how it fits in altogether.
The first Pirates movie is the only self-contained movie. It really. I mean, you can watch the first Pirates movie without having any basis to work from. It's a solid story from beginning to end that ends on a note that feels like a definitive, this is the end of the story.
Well, that's what's funny about that is I just watched A New Hope today.
Yeah.
And it's as far as like not ending on a cliffhanger to set up a sequel, the first movie doesn't do that.
Nope. And by the way, you call it A New Hope. One thing to remember is
it wasn't. Yeah, it was just called Star Wars. Right,
exactly. Until until like the third or fourth VHS re-release, it was just Star Wars. And to me, growing up as a kid, I just called it Star Wars.
I did too until the special editions. Now I'm a little younger than you, so like when the special editions came out, I must have been like 10 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, even now, the A New Hope.
Oh my God, Haas here.
Yeah, hi. it has the word Star Wars are very large words, and then below it, as like a subtitle, is A New Hope. But then for the subsequent films, Star Wars, the logo is a lot smaller, and the subtitle is the main focus.
Right, and A New Hope was never on there in the original prints, and that's what fascinates me, because and they didn't even have an episode number. It was just Star Wars and then the text scroll.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the first Pirates of the Caribbean, I think the reason why it's such a self-contained film is it was really kind of a daring choice. At the time, swashbuckling stories were considered to be basically box office poison. The last pirate movie of any major budget was the notorious Rennie Harlin film Cutthroat Island.
I was just going to say, Cutthroat Island, which I've never watched.
The thing about
kind of sucks.
The thing about Cutthroat Island is it's not as bad as its reputation, but it's also a terrible movie.
But it is Rennie Harlin, and that guy's direction in some of his movies is kind of fun. Not the version of Hercules, but
you get the feeling in Cutthroat Island that there could have been a really, really good movie in there with a better director. But instead what you get is just a mediocre action movie that's a little corny, but it's okay to be corny because it's a throwback to your classic like Captain Blood swashbuckling stories. The only thing that really hampers Cutthroat Island is it has a very strong feminist agenda that it pushes in a way that becomes obtrusive to the plot. It's okay to have a movie with a feminist agenda. Don't get me wrong. In fact, some really great movies do. But when you are trying to push an agenda specifically, that specifically defies it makes the movie, it puts the movie on hold for it to tell you how important it is that the movie make a statement.
All right. Well, I'm going to get into my review of Dead Men Tell No Tales, but before I do that, I want to talk about this franchise. Okay, so we're 5 movies in the year 2017.
Yeah,
it's so. I think that like this whole thing is name recognition off of a fucking ride from Disneyland.
That's true, and remember they also did the Haunted Mansion movie.
What's that? Well, that movie is bad. That's just a bad movie. Terrence Stamp is in it, isn't he?
Yeah, he plays the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, that movie.
Tomorrowland was an attempt to do it too.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
What was that?
Tomorrowland. Yeah, that was a.
Yeah,
I remember.
You guys know how I feel about Tomorrowland.
Yes.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yes, we do.
You love it, don't you?
On the Guillermo del Toro reboot of the Haunted Mansion, which will probably never happen, but
yeah, I don't know
hopefully
about that.
If it's something that Guillermo del Toro said he's working on, don't count on it ever coming out.
Right.
Well, because there's not going to be a Hellboy 3. It's going to get rebooted.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that decision. But anyway, Pirates 5. This movie, it's serviceable, I guess. It's. I can't sit here and give like a straight up opinion on the 4th movie called on Stranger Tides. I think that came out in like 2011, 2012.
I actually rewatched that movie last week because it was on TV here at where I am. And
what can you tell me about it? Because I'm sitting here struggling to remember details.
It's dull as shit.
Yeah, it really is.
Which
is ironic because Jerry Bruckheimer personally handpicked Rob Marshall, the director of Chicago, to make the movie, saying how lively and energetic Marshall's direction is because the way he directs dance sequences really spoke to it really made Jerry Bruckheimer excited about how Marshall would direct action sequences. And then, of course, we all found out that that's not the fucking case at all.
The chief problems in Pirates 4 is the script is weak. It doesn't have enough of the fun-loving, swashbuckling, enjoyable like banter that the other films have. Even like a lot of people don't like Pirates 3. Which it is admittedly a very overblown movie, and it's like 3 movies tried to be taped into one. But but at least that movie still had that the fun banter between characters. This doesn't have that, and it also the biggest problem is really having Jack Sparrow as the lead character.
It feels like one of those movies. I mean, I know it's not the case, but it feels like one of those movies that the studio made just to hold on to a license. It was like this. It was like a Sony Spider-Man reboot.
I think
or Fox Fantastic Four movie.
It's what Jack Sparrow is kind of the Han Solo of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and Han Solo is not the main character. The main character is the character who is your Luke Skywalker, the person who is being introduced to this world and is learning along the way, and he's the character who gets to he gets to receive expository dialogue that tells you about the universe with it making sense. But Jack Sparrow is a pirate who's been in the game for so long that he doesn't know certain things. Makes expository dialogue useless.
There is a way to make Jack Sparrow a protagonist, but in my opinion, you would have to do it in a very specific way. This film, Dead Men Tell No Tales, kind of gets there a little bit sometimes. And what I'm getting at is, as far as like his reputation and his abilities and all that goes, it always, like, he has to sort of fuck up, and his fuck ups are beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would certainly argue that the original movie did not have Jack Sparrow as the main character. It was Elizabeth Swann.
No. And Jack Sparrow also. They were kind of co-leads.
Well, hear me out. So Jack Sparrow, it's Elizabeth Swann's story because it starts out with her as a child. Now she's grown up, and and Jack Sparrow is, like you said, another main character.
Hold up.
No, hold on.
Will Turner.
Hold on.
When she's a kid in the beginning, they rescue Will Turner from the ocean.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also Will Turner's story. But what I'm saying is that Jack Sparrow is a side character whose adventure kind of sucks everybody else up.
He's just so damn charming.
He is. And what I keep hearing about the new one, Dead Men Tell No Tales, is that Sparrow has gone from a functioning alcoholic goofball to just a straight up comic relief and one-liner machine. Like all the substance of the character is kind of dissolved, and it's no longer a character. It's just a shtick.
Well, I could be wrong, but I feel like this film reminds me of Fast and the Furious now without Paul Walker.
Okay.
Like
that could be the new title for the new Fast and Furious film. Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious now. ... with no Paul Walker.
So this is Dead Men Tell No Tales. The marketing has really kind of not given Johnny Depp much exposure. Like, he's been in a couple of scenes, but
now
maybe 10% of the trailers he's in.
Yeah, he's a major player in the movie. But okay, so let's get into it. The film opens with Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann's son he like steals this map, and then he goes to the Flying Dutchman, the ship that Will Turner, Davy Jones's old ship, the ship that he is cursed to captain until he dies and all that. And he tells him, we can find Poseidon's trident, and it can lift curses. Like this thing is basically a fucking MacGuffin. It can do anything. So right away you're like, okay, so this is what we're questing after in the film. Got it. Okay. And then it's just like 9 years later, he's an adult, and they're talking about this thing called the Devil's Triangle. You can't go in there because bad stuff happens in there. Pirates, some pirates never come out and all this shit. And like, he's on like the Authority. What are they called in that? The India Trading Company.
Yeah, East India Trading Company.
Yeah, he's just like a crew member on their boat when this happens. So they throw him in jail. And that's how he meets up with Jack. And the interesting thing about Jack Sparrow at the beginning of this movie is that, like, he, as kind of Hawk was just saying, he referred to him as a functioning alcoholic. He's just straight up drunk through the first like 20 to 30 minutes of this movie.
Right. That's one of the things I was getting at too, is that his character nuances are becoming check off the boxes for character traits instead.
Oh, I forgot to say why Jack is in jail. This was kind of a fun sequence. The town, there's this town that's about to open up a new bank, and they have this like big vault, and they're like, nobody can get into the vault. And then when they finally open it up, Jack Sparrow's like asleep in there with a bottle of rum. And but the twist here, and also when he wakes up, he fucked some dude's wife. I made a joke about this.
So wait, Jack Sparrow pulled a Rip Torn.
Torn. I don't get that reference.
The actor.
Rip Torn got arrested for breaking.
I know who he is.
He got arrested for breaking into a bank drunk. And they found him the next day inside, just sleeping.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. He pulled a Rip Torn. Yeah.
Pulled a Rip Torn.
The great thing
about do that in a Disney film.
Well, the great thing about this bank sequence is that his plan was not to steal from the safe. This is why I compared it to Fast and the Furious. There are like a whole mess of horses hooked up to the actual building of the bank, and they like rip it out of the ground and just run through the town with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying, like, just imagine this, like horses pulling a building. Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow's like on the top, doing his shtick, getting chased by, I guess,
redcoats.
I guess that's what I should be calling them, redcoats. It's some fucking Fast and Furious shit. Like, it was so over the top. It was clearly a set piece, but I had fun with it.
That sounds kind of fun, but it also sounds, again, based on what I've been seeing and hearing about the movie, it sounds like it's just the heart's not there.
The problem, I think the heart is there. The problem is with these new characters, and I'll just cut to the chase here with the new characters. So you have Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann's son. You have Javier Bardem as what is his character's name? Captain Salazar. Yeah. And then the third new character, there's more new characters, but they're not really important. The third new character is this girl who I'm just gonna say right now, spoilers from this point on. I will put a link in the description till when you can click it, and then you're done with after spoilers. The girl in this movie, it's revealed that she is the daughter of Captain Barbossa.
Okay.
And why is that significant?
It's really not, but the movie just treats it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like that's one of the twists the movie has up its sleeve. So it treats it like, oh, you should care about this. The thing is, I don't like these new characters. I don't think they really bring a lot to the table. They're kind of dull. And the fun that I had was seeing like the people that were in the original cast: Mr. Gibbs, Jack Sparrow, Barbossa, even Orlando Bloom. Well, Orlando Bloom didn't do anything in the movie.
He's in it for like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, he's in the beginning and he shows up at the end once the curse is lifted. Again, spoilers. They get the trident, they lift the curse.
So wait, they lift Will's curse, and now he can live without the algae on his face.
Yeah, that's gone. He has it in the beginning, and then at the end, it's gone.
Okay.
So is he still Davy Jones? No, he's not Davy Jones, right? Because the old Davy Jones comes back or something.
Oh, that's in the post-credit scene, yeah. Which, again, I have a problem with the fact that there's a post-credit scenes trying to set up more sequels, because it's like, why are we bringing back Davy Jones? Bill Nye was...
Like, come on, Disney, calm down. You've already got, like, what, 2 giant cinematic universes?
This movie was a fluke. Like, this movie was more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was kind of dreading this because I didn't like the fourth one so much, and because, it just feels like they keep making these because Pirates of the Caribbean, they've made a lot of money back in the day.
Right.
This...
Yeah.
I do have one more question.
What's that?
So ostensibly, this is the first of a new trilogy. That's what I heard when they were first developing it. Also, the trailers have been hyping up it being the final adventure, and also given the way the trailers have been with Johnny Depp not being in them very much, and the fact that I've heard set reports that Johnny Depp was drunk like all the time and would cause 5-hour delays in filming. Yeah, no, he was literally drunk for most of the movie. Like, he would be in his trailer drunk or hungover, and the rest of the crew would have to just wait.
Disney would never let this get out, but I wish somebody like filmed him and like made a documentary about it.
Yeah. Well, and then Jerry Bruckheimer, this has caused me to think that his lack of exposure in the trailers means that the next film, if they have one, will not have Johnny Depp. But then Jerry Bruckheimer says he cannot envision a future to the franchise without Johnny Depp. So why is there so much?
Why people I think that's what's kept this franchise alive for so long. Is
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and not just because
I think
honestly,
people are getting tired of his shit, though.
Well, that's the thing is like with the fourth one, I went into this movie thinking that it was going to be miserable, thinking it was going to be the same shit as the fourth one where there was no fun to be had. And it was a serviceable blockbuster film. Like there's lots of
lots of that stuff. So So with Pirates, here's the thing. I'm probably different from a lot of modern film goers in that I'm very familiar with classical pirate movies. Your Errol Flynn films, things like that. And I know Jack Sparrow's a popular character, but I wouldn't mind if they decide to continue making Pirates of the Caribbean movies with other characters within their universe. There are plenty.
I think that Jack Sparrow is the least interesting part of the films for the most part. I mean, he's fun for the first one, but then after that, I think that the way that this series kind of incorporates mythology and everything, like they could make some really interesting standalone stories without their original characters.
I don't know about that because also one of the things I think if you took Johnny Depp out of Dead Men Tell No Tales, that it would be a bad movie.
Well, I mean, maybe this, but I mean, if you told a unique story, you don't necessarily have to include Johnny Depp, is what I'm saying. And now, of course, I think for box office purposes, they'll never do it. But I just would be interested. I like a good swashbuckler, and one that's done well
I don't think this is the franchise to do it in. No offense, just because they built up all this lore at this point, and now you have to follow that lore. Just start a new pirate movie like franchise. You know what I mean? The thing, when I try to think of this franchise without Jack Sparrow, I'm kind of bummed out because I'm like, it's gonna suck.
Well, you know what? I think it is about time that Hollywood remakes some of those classic swashbucklers because they have plots that are very serviceable and with modern technology. To see a movie like The Seahawk or a movie like Captain Blood performed,
Captain Blood.
Terry Gilliam's last film before he dies will be a remake of Yellowbeard.
Oh God! The Cheech and Chong movie.
Yeah, do it. Why not?
Yeah, or even hell. I mean, we're about due for a new version of Treasure Island.
I predict that the new Treasure Island will be directed by
Gore Verbinski?
No. First name popped in my head, Timur Bekmambetov.
I don't know. I don't know how that would turn out.
Well, I'll tell you.
Not well.
Who, if you were in charge of the project, who would you put on script?
On script,
Vidal.
David Mamet.
David Mamet.
An entire ship's worth of cursing New Yorkers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, really. Well, I said Gore Vidal, which would have been a totally different film. So.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? I think Ty Sheridan could make a pretty awesome Pirates movie.
Is that the? Is that the Modern Family guy? That's Ty Burrell. No. Never mind.
Sicario and Prisoners.
Yeah. Zach started that confusion in my head. It's he kept calling the guy from Modern Family Ty Burrell. He kept calling him Ty Sheridan.
Ty Sheridan's the writer, and his movie Wind River comes out soon, I think.
Okay. I enjoyed Sicario, so I'm interested.
Yeah, he wrote and directed it. It's got Jeremy Renner and the girl from Prometheus.
Well,
Renner needs more outlets to act.
No,
because that Bourne movie he was in was a pile of shit.
Which one?
Jason Bourne.
The Bourne. What is it called?
The Bourne Legacy.
Is it Legacy?
Ultimatum.
Bourneless Bourne.
Yes,
whatever it is. Jeremy Renner was in a Jason Bourne movie. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
it was Legacy, right?
You guys forgot that was the same year that
Pirates of the Caribbean. I remember the movie. I saw it in theaters, and I remember thinking that this is boring. Borning.
It's Borning.
I'm bored in Borneo.
Yeah, it's just.
I want a bone instead of watch Born.
What? All right, so Pirates 5 is Pirates 5. Final verdict. If you like the franchise, if you like the characters, see it. Don't pay too much to see it, because you'll feel like you wasted your money if you pay too much to see it. But there are things in there that I legitimately had fun with, and that was a surprise to me.
Good.
And I'm very interested to hear about Baywatch.
Yeah. All right. So I saw Baywatch this weekend. Baywatch is another of those, hey, let's turn an old TV show into an R-rated action comedy.
It's crazy to me to think that they're on Baywatch now, which you were probably at an age where you remember seeing Baywatch on television. I was too young. I'm scared now because they're starting to they're going to be doing, shows that I grew up with at some point.
Right.
I never actually watched Baywatch on television. I maybe saw bits and pieces here and there, but I definitely remember the culture of Baywatch. When it came out.
Me too. I
remember it being spoofed constantly as a kid.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, because it was a show that even in its time was recognized as being utterly ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. it was kind of. I want to watch the show to see that, because what I've seen, it always felt very self-aware. Like Pamela Anderson running in slow motion is a deliberately corny thing to do.
But that's the thing. Before this film came out, the Obscurus Lupa used to be her name, Alison Pregler on YouTube. She has a series where she reviews Baywatch episodes, and I've seen a few of them, and I'm like, wow, there is some truly ridiculous content in here.
Now, if you want really ridiculous, though, you have to go to the short-lived Baywatch Nights.
Oh, right.
Now, Baywatch Nights, Baywatch itself was ridiculous, but Baywatch Nights got friggin' paranormal. There were aliens in the show. There were it was like the X-Files meets Baywatch. And
what if they did a crossover of X-Files and Baywatch?
Oh God, yeah, actually that's perfect.
David Duchovny was in that, so
And Lou Rawls was in Baywatch Nights, because
you'll never find ding 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 ding.
So anyway,
find another love like mine.
The movie is okay. It has a lot of funny stuff and some funny scenes, and you can watch almost all of them on YouTube.com. Just search for Baywatch trailer.
So wait, you're saying this movie's okay? Because the critical consensus is that it stinks.
It's not very good, but it does have its funny parts, and most of them were in the trailer. The morgue scene was really funny. And this movie really leans into the crude humor. It's got all the dick jokes that it can even handle. They're investigating a body at the morgue to figure out if something's going on. And I'll get into the plot in a second, but The Rock is like, okay, lift up his taint so you can see if there's needle marks underneath his ball sack. And then Zac Efron's lifting up the balls and the penis. And he's like, you got to look closer. He leans in closer, and then The Rock takes his picture a bunch of times with him leaning close to a dick and balls. So it's that kind of juvenile humor. And it's from the director of Horrible Bosses, Seth Gordon. So there is an earnestness to the crude humor. Some of it is really funny, but again, most of that stuff is in the trailer. The biggest problem is that there's a very clear distinction between what was scripted and what was ad-libbed, and the ad-lib stuff is vastly superior to anything that's on script. The script itself is... Remember when in 21 Jump Street where these two guys go to high school to try to stop an influx of drugs?
That scene where they first get to high school, to me, just because they're supposed to be younger, and it's like they went to high school in the 2000s.
Well, it's not even. Yeah, that's part of what makes 21 Jump Street funny, is because the fact these older kids are going to high school subverts the 2 decades later remake of a show. But
you brought it up.
You take the core plot of 21 Jump Street of 2 guys trying to stop drugs in their setting. That's the Baywatch plot, is that these 2 lifeguards and their team are trying to stop drugs in the Bay. And it's just a very generic plot that it's you can't have just that. You got to have more meat to it. And in this movie, Dwayne Johnson is like this super great lifeguard lieutenant. And then Zac Efron is a kind of washed up Olympic swimmer, alcoholic partier, very self-centered, and he joins the Baywatch team. But he's so self-centered that it causes friction in the team, and it causes some of their rescues to be botched, and so it causes the 2 of them, Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron, to bicker a lot. And kind of that relationship is what forms the core of the movie until they are forced to work together and be friendly to stop the gangsters and the drugs on the Bay. Really, really generic.
I'm kind of curious, though, since you've brought up 21 Jump Street. Before 21 Jump Street, you would have movies like Starsky and Hutch,
which was okay.
The Brady Bunch movie,
Not very good.
What? What about the Barry Brady sequel?
I don't
like that one.
Brilliant.
I think that here, if you are a fan of the Brady Bunch movie, you are in most cases someone who at one point was a fan of the TV show. If you have no familiarity, like me, with the Brady Bunch, you watch the movie and you think, well, that was kind of shitty.
I find the Brady Bunch to be very, very grating.
Well, I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the movie.
I'm talking about both. I don't like the Brady Bunch.
You had Gary Cole. You had that chick from Cheers, Shelley Long.
I love Gary Cole, but I don't think he's in a good show with the Brady Bunch.
It wasn't a show. It was a movie.
Yeah, we get it.
He was thinking.
I don't think you do. No, really that movie was the original 21 Jump Street. That movie was like,
well,
it did it. It was tongue in cheek. It was self-aware.
I'm just saying I do not like Brady Bunch stuff. I don't care if it's a movie or a show.
Fair enough. My point is, though, getting back to my point, 21 Jump Street, so meta and so clever, and before I saw it, I was like, 21 Jump Street movie. Like, all right, who's, got to make that money. But it ended up being like a smart movie. Thanks to Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who are very funny guys, very clever writers. My point is, these TV show movie adaptations, like they kind of feel disingenuous now after that film. And 22 Jump Street, because that movie was funny too.
Both of those movies were very excellent send-ups of different concepts. 21 being, the remake of a TV show, 22 being sequels.
Yes.
And let me ask you, what did you guys think of the Starsky and Hutch movie? I'm curious.
I brought it up. I don't think it's bad. I enjoyed it, but I haven't seen it in years. And I was, after Zoolander, anything Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller, I was all over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I thought it was fine. I did not like the Dukes of Hazzard movie.
No, yeah, and that had Jay Chandrasekhar, but how do you pronounce his name?
Chandrasekhar.
Who is very funny. And no, that movie. There's the one funny part of that movie is where they do a little nod to Super Troopers.
Yeah, the only part I thought was funny is when they were talking about paying somebody in. He's like, "Oh, how does 4,500 yen sound?" He's like, "Well, that sounds like $45." That was the only part that I thought was funny in that movie.
I watched it once
over the yens to dollars conversion.
Based on the fact that Jay from Broken Lizard directed it, I watched it once, didn't give it a second thought. I have I have no desire to ever watch it again.
So, anyway, in Baywatch, there are funny parts like. There is a running joke where Dwayne Johnson calls Zac Efron a certain thing. He's like, "Hey, Jonas Brothers," and of course he does call him High School Musical at one point. which everybody in the theater was waiting for. It's really sad because I think there is some funny bits there, and Seth Gordon has some interesting edits that he makes to it, and there is the running. There are a couple of jokes that reference the old show, where this character is running in slow mo like the show, and another female character is like, "Why is she running in slow motion?" And the guy's like, "Wait, you see it too?" Like that was kind of funny. And then at one point they describe what the villains are about to do. Like they want to take over the bay and sell the property and fuel their whole drug business or whatever. And Zac Efron says, that sounds like a subplot from a really corny 90s TV show. And like it's kind of a bad joke, but it's kind of one that they had to do. And it was kind of funny. And of course,
like, the definition of on the nose.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of the humor in the movie is that it seems to be a trend of R-rated comedies now to have a fight inside a bedroom of some sort with copious use of props. And this happens in this movie too. What?
Thanks, Ted.
The movie, or Neighbors.
It was a joke. Neighbors, yeah, Neighbors does it too.
And it's kind of like the sound editing of these scenes, which makes them work so well. So in this movie, Dwayne Johnson chases a thug into a family's house, and they enter this little girl's room, and they fight like pretty much using all of her toys. So Dwayne Johnson steps on one of those little plastic pianos, and just fling, and then they fight, and then the bad guy starts trying to strangle him with a SpongeBob SquarePants mobile, and it's playing the SpongeBob theme song while he's strangling him with it, and it's little goofy things like that, and smack him with a toy and it squeaks.
Did Paramount put this movie out?
I can't remember.
I want to say Universal.
Yes,
it could be Paramount.
By the way, yes.
He said it was Paramount.
It is Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense because Paramount's like tight with Nickelodeon, or maybe no. Viacom owns Paramount. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, and tons of dick jokes. The CGI is really bad. The plot is kind of generic. It's I don't know. It's just I don't really care. It's just not very good. It's kind of funny, but not great. It's got some laughs.
How often is David Hasselhoff in this movie?
He's in it once. So Dwayne Johnson's character becomes shamed and becomes fired from Baywatch, and then he is working at the Sprint store.
Is there a scene where Dwayne Johnson is on is on the floor of a hotel room, struggling very hard to eat a triple cheeseburger from Wendy's?
No.
Because if they did that joke, that movie would win me over instantly.
They don't.
What is that from?
That was David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, David Hasselhoff. His daughter filmed it you know how they say you should film an alcoholic and show them the footage?
Yeah.
His daughter filmed him on the floor trying to eat a cheeseburger, and then somehow that footage leaked.
It is one of the most depressing things you'll ever see.
It is very sad. Yeah,
it's so hard.
We're joking about it, but it is not easy footage to watch.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen, but there is a scene where Dwayne Johnson is a sprint.
I feel like if that were to happen, this movie would have at least a little balls. You know what I mean? Like you went there.
Yeah.
Instead, it's got literal balls.
And I think the reason why they wouldn't do that is because David Hasselhoff had to sign off on the project.
Yeah, but
right. Yeah,
hasn't he made fun of that? Because that was a few years ago. He's probably fine now. I think
you would have to by now. If you don't develop a sense of humor over a drunken episode where you're failing to eat a cheeseburger.
Yo, it is sad footage, but you should watch it. It's funny.
And it's also a triple cheeseburger, which is, while the Wendy's burgers are tasty, the triple cheeseburger is the definition of overkill.
It's too much meat, too much cheese. Yeah, this is people get these double baconators. Yeah. I'm like, get a single baconator. That's enough meat and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his only role in the movie is to walk into the Sprint store and tell Dwayne Johnson, "Why are you wearing shoes? What the fuck is wrong with you?" So, which motivates him to go back to Baywatch and save the day with Zac Efron. And then Pamela Anderson is in it too. And
I was going to ask that. Yeah, I
was a little frustrated with the movie because it does say also starring David Hasselhoff and Pamela Anderson in the opening.
Yeah, Oh my god!
Like,
in the opening credits.
Yeah, they blow the reveal by saying, by pointing out that they're going to be in the movie at some point. David Hasselhoff is in the last 20 minutes of it. Pamela Anderson is in the final scene. Walks up as the new captain of Baywatch, and again they pull the slow motion joke again, where she's just walking in and taking off her sunglasses, and then they just say like, "Oh wow, she's moving really slow," and somebody else says, "Yeah, this is going to take a while." So that's probably one of the big problems of the movie, is that it kind of knows what jokes it wants to make, but doesn't really know how to execute them. Like a lot of the jokes are just done in ways that aren't funny. Like a lot of these jokes, you can be like, I could have thought of a better way to execute that joke.
Execution.
One of the funniest jokes in the movie is at the very, very beginning. It's the opening credits. Is Dwayne Johnson saves somebody, and as he bursts out of the water, saving the person, it's like a fucking massive Baywatch logo bursts out of the water behind him, and like dolphins leap into the air and dance in midair, and like if the movie had leaned that heavily into corniness like that and just being as stupid as possible, it would have been a lot funnier.
That's what I thought this was. That's kind of what the advertising has been hinting at, that this is like really dumb, over the top,
And some of it is, but it also kind of doesn't. It's not 100% all the time. Like it has its moments where it's really funny and really dumb, but then whenever it's not doing that, it just slips back into like a really generic cop story.
Well, that sounds thoroughly depressing.
It's disappointing. Like when I was done watching it, I was like, okay, that was okay, that was fine. But the more I thought about it, it's like it's just not a very funny or very good movie, which is really disappointing because the trailers were really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what a surprise! The trailer shows the funniest scenes.
It really, I mean, I haven't thought of a movie in recent memory that is more indicative of that cliche.
I have one that really bothered me personally, but this was years ago. Reno 911 Miami.
Oh,
I thought that was funny, honestly.
Which also had a cameo from The Rock.
Well, here's the thing. I've come around on the film itself. I actually have a copy of the movie, but the trailer for that movie had all the best gags in it.
And I don't remember I don't know if I saw much of the trailers before it came out because I wasn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you had just seen it on its own, it's fucking hilarious. But I saw the trailer. Like, I went to see it because of I loved the trailer. I thought the trailer was so funny. I wasn't even like a big fan of the show. I would watch it every once in a while. But
sure.
Getting back to Baywatch, I have two specific things to say here. Pamela Anderson's best appearance on film will forever be Borat. I think that is a statement that I can say that the future will not change.
So what you're saying?
I could be wrong.
I'm not a fan of Barbed Wire.
I have never.
Barbed Wire is amazing.
I have seen the Nostalgia Critic review of Barbed Wire. I've never watched the movie.
You should just watch Barbed Wire. It's on Amazon. It is fucking nuts. It's so goddamn bad, but it's fucking great. I love it.
My second comment, though, regarding Baywatch is that WWE. I'm a WWE guy, and they showed the Baywatch red carpet, and they had David Hasselhoff on the red carpet. I'm like, way to spoil the fucking cameo in the movie,
I mean, they'd have to, right? Like, even before I saw it, I was like, there's no way they're not going to get at least one of those two leads in the movie.
I could be wrong on this. And if you guys haven't seen the movie, this really won't make that much sense. But David Hasselhoff's best film appearance might forever be the fucking SpongeBob movie from 2004.
Yeah, where that was awesome.
He just shows up and then he turns into a fucking watercraft.
Yes,
I thought he was the best. I thought he was the best thing in that movie, Click, with Adam Sandler, when he was getting punched in the face.
Right, yeah, he's good in that.
He was also a great part of Guardians of the Galaxy too.
That's very true.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. I totally fucking forgot about that.
I will go ahead and summarize on my side, not having seen Baywatch, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to steal this from the comedian Doug Benson on his podcast, Doug Loves Movies. He has a segment he does called Watch This, Not That.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to say is there's this wonderful show that was in the early 2000s on FX, and I'm called Son of the Beach. And I'm going to say,
they reference
watch
Yeah,
this, not the Baywatch movie.
They reference Son of the Beach constantly on My Name Is Earl, because the lead actor in it is like he lives in the town.
Jason Lee?
No, not the main actor of Son of the Beach.
Oh, okay.
Timothy Stack is who you're talking about.
Yes. Yes, and
Timothy Stack, for those who don't know, Timothy Stack was on two of the funniest fucking TV shows of like the late 90s, early 2000s. He was on a show called in the 90s called Nightstand with Dick Dietrich. It was a parody of your shows like
Night Court.
No, Nightstand was a parody of late night talk shows like
Okay.
shows. God damn it, fucking Jerry Springer kind of shit.
Oh, that's daytime.
I'm sorry, daytime talk shows. But yeah, Nightstand. It was a hilarious show. He played the host Dick Dietrich, and the show had tons of great guest stars like Jimmy Walker, Phil Hartman, Gary Marshall.
I have not seen the show. This is not me passing judgment on the show, because I'm sure it's fine. Nobody is better than Morton Downey Jr.
There were like 100 episodes of Nightstand, and every one is gold. It was a hilarious series.
Nobody is better than Morton Downey Jr., man.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Well, except Morton Downey Jr. took his shit seriously, at least ostensibly. The Nightstand was an overt joke.
I think Morton Downey Jr. was on some wrestling kayfabe shit. I think that he was on some Andy Kaufman shit. Like,
well, the difference was Nightstand was intentionally and overtly humor. And then Son of the Beach. Has anyone here seen Son of the Beach?
No, but I was actually going to bring it up though when we were initially talking about Baywatch as a show I used to watch. I used to watch commercials for on FX or whatever, and I used to go, "Oh, that's a Howard Stern show that he produced."
Howard Stern show. Oh,
I think he helped produce it. Yeah.
Well, so anyway, just to give you a few ideas of how completely over the top the show was, Son of the Beach. It took place in the town of Malibu adjacent, and it focused on the adventures of Shore Patrol Force 30, which stands for SPF 30, and basically. For those who don't know what Timothy Stack looks like, he's kind of a pasty, white bread, thin guy, and of course there's your contrast between that and David Hasselhoff in his prime. Other characters on the show included B.J. Cummings, Jamaica St. Croix, and a giant Arnold Schwarzenegger ripoff character named Chip Rommel.
Did you just say B.J. Cummings?
Yes, that is one of the characters on the show. That's the stacked blonde. That's your.
I used to see, and that okay. So I know Timothy Stack from My Name Is Earl. He plays himself, and he's sort of this washed-up actor, and they constantly reference Son of the Beach. And then I would go to like FYE. I would go to DVD stores and see DVDs for Son of the Beach, and I was like, "Oh, this is a real thing." Okay.
Oh, and how can I forget Timothy Stack's character, the lead? His character is Notch Johnson.
There you go. All right.
And the show had tons of great cameos. You had cameos like Mark Hamill, Alan Thicke, Eric Estrada. Weird people would show up like Lee Majors and Patty Hearst. Just like the show was just it was a lot of fun, and it's definitely stupid, but really like
I'll check it out. I'm interested. I am interested.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So. Yeah, closing thoughts on Baywatch. If you when it comes out on Redbox, maybe check it out, because the chemistry between Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron, and Alexandra Daddario is actually really strong. And the movie is at its absolute best when it's two or three of them interacting with each other.
How many straight comedy films have you seen this year so far?
I don't know. Straight comedy?
Just any comedy, because I was going to say
Silvio, I think, counts as a comedy, right?
Silvio, Lego Batman.
Lego Batman is still the funniest movie of the year, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. You got the Ricky Gervais thing on Netflix, the Office movie. That was all right.
Yeah, like I don't.
Wow.
I honestly don't know. I've seen some movies.
I would argue the funniest movie I've seen this year was Free Fire.
Fist Fight came out this year.
Oh
right?
yeah, Free Fire
Yeah, but
was
that's
quite
not
fun.
funny. So
Free Fire.
That scene. All right, so this scene has become a Facebook video that I've seen people passing around. There's a scene in Fist Fight where Charlie Day goes to sing with his daughter at the school talent show, but he doesn't know that she's about to sing Big Sean, I Don't Fuck With You.
mm-hmm.
That scene's okay, I guess. I don't know. People are really going crazy for that scene. I don't know why.
Not a very good movie or a good.
A child is cussing. Yeah, like that's the joke.
Exactly. It's a joke that's been told so many times before and better.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that. I'm just I'm reflecting on the comedies that have come out this year so far, and I'm really coming up with the big, like the ones we just discussed. Lego Batman and Silvio are fantastic, and Silvio dips into sort of drama, introspective. You know, that movie's not a straight up comedy. I wouldn't call it myself.
I would say like existential dramedy in a way.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you on that. But that's what I'm saying, though. Is like if I'm talking about the best comedy of the year, I'm not going to bring up fucking I was going to say The Bucket List, but I've never seen that. I don't know if that is that a funny movie. The Bucket List. Is that a funny movie?
The Bucket List is
that gets depressing at the end.
The Bucket List is one of those life-affirming comedies that has a kind of depressing ending.
I was but
they live their life and they're it's kind of garbage, that movie.
My main instinct was to bring up Wes Anderson because his movies they're character driven and they have moments of comedy in them, but very rarely can you sit there and go, "This is a straight up comedy film." You know,
no, I would call some of Wes Anderson's films straight up comedy, like Life Aquatic or his recent one, Grand Budapest.
I would say without a doubt, Fantastic Mr. Fox is straightforward comedy.
Oh, love
Bottle
it.
Rocket. Bottle Rocket is a very funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
Bottle Rocket. Rushmore was my introduction to Wes Anderson. I saw it in the theater.
I think it's a misnomer that comedy has to be laugh a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if overall
in terms of film comedy as a genre, when people talk about film comedy as a genre, they always go to like Animal House, Blues Brothers,
right. Movies where you go to get just your yucks, and those
the movies I just named are really great movies.
Yeah, absolutely, and there are less of those these days. Movies that are full on comedies that. They don't necessarily have to be introspective or deep, but mm-hmm. I would argue because those movies are just hard to come by. I mean, even back then, though, when you think about it, there's only a really small handful of movies there that are undeniably great. And even many of those movies have flaws in them. Like Animal House, some of the humor in that has dated pretty bad.
Yes. But again, you wouldn't call Annie Hall a straight up comedy. But Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex, But We're Afraid to Ask, that has a lot of great scenes in it.
Oh, well, that's just a straight up sketch comedy movie.
But that's hit and miss. But the scenes that are good are really good.
Now that said, if you want to look
at Bananas is a straight up
Bananas is fantastic. Did you review Bananas last week?
I don't think so.
Let's review Bananas.
I did write about it, but I didn't review it on the Pubcast.
Let's review Bananas.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We actually, Hawk and I have 4 movies to talk about really quick. So what we're going to do is we'll fit Bananas in between, in between 2 of them. So that way we all have, we're able to space things out here. I'm just trying to make sure, that...
No, you're fine. I have my window open and I'm screaming, "Let's review Bananas." I'm sure people, if anybody could hear me out my window, they think I'm a fucking crazy person.
Fair enough. So
I think this banana is awfully too yellow.
So this banana does not peel right.
God. All right. So anyway, my hands are bananas. If you've never seen that YouTube video,
Okay.
it's a YouTube video.
I'll say this: there's a great little banana finger scene in an episode of Documentary Now Season 2, which is now on Netflix. You should go watch it. That's a plug. That's an advertisement. Let's get on with the show.
So anyway, Hawk and I have been trading movies where 1 week each one of us will decide, like, for instance, this is Hawk's week to decide, and we'll both agree to watch that movie. And the first movie that, or rather, we kind of got our plan was to talk about it once a week, one movie a week. We got backtracked because of my getting injured. So we're gonna go
because of life.
Yeah, we're gonna go in and fill in the blanks here. So one movie that we watched was Solitary, which you talked about this a little bit. I think a week or so before you suggested it to me.
Yeah. Solitary is an HBO drama about, inmates of the prison system.
A documentary.
What?
Mm-hmm.
It's a documentary, not a drama.
Yeah. They have been reconfined to a maximum security solitary confinement prison. Most of these are folks that have they were in prison before for something else, and then while they were in confinement, they committed a new crime and then got transferred to solitary.
Oh, okay.
It's set in Red Onion State Prison, which is in Southwest Virginia.
Yeah.
And Red Onion State Prison is a prison that it's basically a supermax prison, which is where you send the people who are considered too dangerous to even have in a social population of prisoners. So they are kept essentially in permanent solitary confinement.
Yeah, 23 hours a day they're in their own cell with one window outside of their door and then frosted glass to the outside itself. So one of the interesting things about this documentary is that it examines a lot of individuals who are there in prison for a reason. And it's really interesting because it establishes that the reason they got there is very bad. Like, one of the guys tried to slit another inmate's throat in general population, so now he's here. But the documentary also really lets you empathize with the inmates, because being confined to one room with no interaction with anybody for 23 hours out of every day of your life is very psychologically damaging. And
there's the argument that keeping someone in that type of confinement, if anything, works against the system, because it because of the way it impacts them psychologically. It does not accomplish the goal of reforming the prisoner, and it's instead treating the prisoner like a caged animal, and it teaches a much different lesson than it's maybe intended to.
Yeah, it's chuck them into a hole and that's it. But it's a really good documentary, because it does kind of take the stance that solitary confinement is a dangerous thing in general, but it also remains relatively unbiased in everything else. It does kind of a snapshot of their lives.
It does make a comment about solitary confinement being potentially bad, but at the same time, it points out that there aren't a lot of options when these prisoners, a lot of them, are doing these horrible things that, in many ways, you can totally understand the sentiment of, lock them up and throw away the key, because these people really shouldn't be amongst people. And it poses the questions of, what do you do with this? Not you shouldn't do this. It asks, it dares you to ask the question of, is there a better way? And should, unfortunately, this, it would be an even greater documentary if they had alternatives that they could offer as to what to do. But rather, the film makes a very, I would say, brave decision of posing the question to its audience of what can we do? It's challenging the audience to become involved and to think for themselves. Is there a way that we can change the system for the better, so that prison isn't just meant for psychological punishment, but instead is also a way of taking these people, and once they've served their time, being able to release them without it feeling like you're just opening a cage to let the cougar out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good documentary. There's not much else to say about it, but it's
right. Well, we've covered it. It's a very worthwhile documentary to seek out, and if you have HBO access, it's available.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and move from there. The next film that because Solitary was a prison documentary, I figured I would suggest a movie that also has prison as a theme. So I recommended to Hawk that for the next week we watch In the Name of the Father.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, In the Name of yes, In the Name of the Father is a 1993 film based on the true story of this Irish man named Jerry Conlon, who is played by Daniel Day-Lewis in this film. He was a man who was wrongly accused and convicted of basically a terrorist attack, of bombing a restaurant, or was it a pub?
Pub, yeah.
Yeah, a pub in the town of Guildford in England. And the movie is steeped in political elements because Gary Conlon, he was an Irishman from Belfast during the time of in the 1970s, during the Troubles, when Belfast was essentially an open shooting ground, where the northern and the mainland Irishmen were basically fighting each other for it was essentially a religious war between the Catholics and the Protestants, and with the British Army in between trying to intercede in vain. And Jerry Conlon is confused for a member of the IRA, and his entire family, basically, along with some friends, end up getting convicted for various terrorist-related crimes alongside him, including his own father, who had absolutely nothing to do with anything. His father is played by the wonderful Irish actor Pete Postlethwaite, who, if you're not familiar with him by name, if you look up his face, he's one of those that guy character actors.
Yeah.
But I think it's pronounced Postlethwaite.
Postlethwaite?
I don't know that for a fact, but he played the guy who gives James the little worm, the little magic worm creatures in James and the Giant Peach. He was the assistant in Usual Suspects.
Well, either way, regardless of how you
I forget his character's name.
He was also one of the few interesting characters in the Lost World Jurassic Park. He was the great white hunter.
Right, yeah.
The one who took down the T-Rex at before the T-Rex was turned loose on.
I've always heard it pronounced Postlethwaite, but
I said Postlethwaite. It doesn't matter.
Bill, you're accurate.
Okay.
Look at me. I'm doing well.
Yeah, I just Googled it.
Okay. It doesn't. The point is,
regardless of how you say his name, it's a good fucking movie.
It's a good fucking movie, and he's a good fucking actor. And Jesus. So, what's interesting about this movie is it's sort of episodic. There's a few different stages to it. The first probably half hour of the movie takes place in Northern Ireland, and it's this friggin' hectic battle sequence you see in which accidentally while attempting to steal some sheet metal, Conlon, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, basically awakens the British military, and gunfire is exchanged, and you watch the machine of both sides of this civil conflict go off, and you get to see, as Jerry's escaping from the police and the military, as members of the IRA and people who are like lookouts are guiding him to where to get to safety within the town. And you get to see, because he's not a member of the IRA, he has to atone for the mistakes that he was making, and that he's basically kicked out of and sent to England. And that's why he was he was in England at the time of the terrorist attack, and that's why he was basically considered a terrorist risk. And the next stage of the film is the trial, and the first trial, and you watch as it's essentially a show trial where they're railroaded, and meanwhile they're going through the prison system where police are allowed to keep him in jail without even charging him for a crime for up to 7 days, which was a rule in England at the time, which is essentially an excuse for torture to take place. And then the large proportion of the movie from there takes place in the British prison. And Hawk, when you were watching this movie, I know you're kind of interested in prison, sort of the way prison culture. In prison. Yeah,
I hear you have an interest in prison.
Yes, you're interested in prison culture and the reform.
He has a fancy for that topic.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I actually minored in criminal justice in college. I'm really interested in prison in terms of the rehabilitation rates, prison industry, and especially correction systems, especially the panopticon, but that's a whole different thing. But anyway, keep going.
Right. So what I was going to ask is, what do you think of the layout of the prison in this film? Because they actually shot in the place they shot is very much like the actual prison that this took place.
Yeah, I mean that's it's pretty standard for a prison layout, I think. I think that the movie didn't really explore the way that the prison itself, the architecture and the design, messes with the prisoner's psyche. I think it was more about the prisoners themselves and how they reacted to being in prison, which is totally fine because it definitely. I loved how all the prisoners kind of came together as a family unit. I mean, I don't have much else to say on that, but the fact that it wasn't just Daniel Day-Lewis rallying against the Horde, it was him really integrating himself into the prison community and becoming genuine friends with many of these characters. One of
the noteworthy elements within the film is a few years into his imprisonment, the actual person responsible for that bombing turns up in prison.
Yes.
And he straight up tells the police that he's the one who did the bombing, and you've locked up Jerry Conlon and his family for no reason, and they don't listen to him. And meanwhile, Conlon he does not want anything to do with the IRA. He's kind of a problem kid and a bit of a hippie.
Rebel.
Yeah, a hippie and a rebel, and he fights with his dad also on a daily basis, despite his dad's constant attempts to reconcile. And the movie is also kind of a tale of redemption of Jerry finding his way. I mean, while he shouldn't have been in prison for the crime he committed, prison was a source of reform in him coming to terms with his relationship with his father, coming to terms with his problems that he's had as a man, and committing to do better.
Right. And yeah, I think the character, the real bomber, was an interesting character in how he became friends with Conlon, and he was kind of sinister, but also kind of a secondary father figure to Conlon as well.
Well, if you consider setting a fucking guard on fire sinister.
Well, he was just kind of menacing, which is funny because this is the same actor that plays the mayor in Groundhog Day.
I think so. Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, for real? Wow.
Yeah, he looks totally different.
That would be Bill Murray's brother, right?
Is he?
No.
Dog Day.
Oh, okay.
That's Bill Murray's brother. Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on. Well, there's the mayor, and then there's also the person who's in charge of the festivities at Gobbler's Knob.
Maybe that's what it is. It's the guy with the fucking Russian hat, and he's like, wah, wah, wah. You know what I mean?
I don't know if he's like that.
I'm going to admit, Hawk. Now
I thought that was the mayor of Punxsutawney.
I like that you knew what I was talking about. Let me see here. I'm looking on the IMDb page.
Well, one thing
what was the guy's name, Ken?
In the name of the father?
The character, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Sean McShaughnessy? Seamus O'Shaughnessy?
Mick McIrishman.
Yeah. Michael McIrishman? Okay.
It was Joe McAndrew.
Yeah, actually, that's right, Joe McAndrew.
It's the actor is Don Baker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and not Joe Don Baker.
Billy, I'm so interested. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So the next movie you guys watched together was called.
Moving on. Moving right
Wait,
along.
Oh wait, no, wait! You guys reviewed 2 movies, right?
Wait, he's not in. Wait a second. Don, he is not in Groundhog Day.
Okay,
something's fucked up here. Hold on.
Podcast.
Yo, we gotta move.
Oh, fuck! I just made a really embarrassing mistake.
Did you? Okay.
Don Baker is in the
What's
name of
that?
the father character. Joe Don Baker is the Groundhog Day character.
Oh, you confused
Two
Mitchell.
different actors.
You confused Mitchell with some other guy.
Joe Don Baker
Wait,
is
Joe Don Baker?
Groundhog Day.
Joe Don
He's
Baker
not in
is
Groundhog
Mitchell.
Day. He's
Joe Don-
Mitchell, but he's not in Groundhog Day.
Yeah, he's not in Groundhog Day.
He's in other
That would
movies.
be very significant.
Or no, not Groundhog Day. Holy shit, man! What is wrong with you tonight? No,
What is
he's the
happening?
crazy
right now?
old character
What
in the
is
James
even
Bond
going
movies.
What is happening right now?
I don't know. I usually have a very strong grasp of actors and where they're in, but no, Joe Don Baker is the crazy old guy character from the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies.
Yeah, we know that.
So I
don't know why I was thinking Groundhog Day.
are we done with My Left Foot
yeah.
or whatever this movie was?
Oddly enough, My Left Foot is another movie directed by Jim Sheridan.
Oh,
So are we done with My Left Foot or whatever?
So,
I enjoyed your reaction to that joke. Bill
so
Arsenault-
Micmacs is a 2009 French comedy film.
wait,
director.
wait.
Oh, we're
You
talking
guys-
about bananas, right?
Oh yeah, Bananas.
Yeah, Bananas.
Sounds bananas, yeah.
I'm gonna go bananas.
Going
So
Bananas.
go ahead, Bill. Go ahead, Bill Leon.
Shit, you want me to start? I don't. I would prefer if you started because all I know. I've
Okay,
never
I'll start.
actually. I've got to say this. I was encouraging the topic of discussion so that you could review it. I have not actually sat down and watched this from start to finish, but I think
Oh,
I've seen all of it, just like in 2 separate.
well,
Both. It was on TCM. They used to show this on TCM sometimes, and I would watch it.
okay. Well, I watched this on Filmstruck, service from Turner Classic Movies and the Criterion Collection. They were doing a Woody Allen retrospective where they had Bananas along with everything you wanted to know about sex. It was in a retrospective called Woody's, and they had a couple other movies on there too, as well as a little mini documentary and stuff.
Was it all about Woody's like straight up comedy movie?
I would assume
Yeah,
that
like his
everything
early day comedy.
everything pre Annie Hall is what I would assume that it is.
It was that era, his zany 70s kind of movies, and so I reviewed it for a column on a website called Vague Visage. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Did it have What's Up Tiger Lily? Was that part of the collection?
No, it didn't have that. It didn't have that on
Oh,
there.
okay. That's for some reason like there's some weird shit going on with the rights to that movie. So
It probably is. I can imagine that would be the case with that movie, considering
Yeah.
it's a lot like Kung Pao.
Yeah, they use
it's the precursor to Kung Pao. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's how I discovered it. Was a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you like Kung Pao? Check this out."
So for those who don't know, Woody Allen's early films were much more focused on straight ahead comedy, parody to an extent. Genre parody was a lot there, and just I would say more of a goofball kind of style to the humor. Annie Hall was really his first movie that he did that was really verged more into drama with comedic elements.
I would say Annie Hall is his first movie that didn't feel like a series of sketches.
That's not necessarily the case. I would argue.
Yeah, you're right. Sleeper came out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sleeper. I'll just name the movies. First, there was the movie that he didn't direct, but he did write, What's New Pussycat, which is a straight-up sex comedy. And it's very funny. Peter Sellers is in it, too, and Woody Allen appears in it. Highly recommended. What's Up, Tiger Lily, which, of course, he re-edited a Japanese spy film with his own dialogue. The spy film is International Secret Police Key of Keys.
Key of Keys. Yeah, Key of Keys is the series of films. Like, there's more than one of those.
Yeah. And
I'm a total nerd about this type of stuff.
So Woody Allen redubbed the film to turn it into from a search for some sort of microfilm into the search for the world's greatest egg salad recipe.
Yes.
And then you have Take the Money and Run, which was his first directorial.
Go on, take the money and run.
And Take the Money and Run. It was his first attempt at basically directing a actual. I mean, What's Up, Tiger Lily is a movie, but it's a re-edited movie. And so Take the Money and Run is, I would argue, the lesser of these movies. It's very funny, but it kind of falls apart towards the end. It has some great moments in it, though. And it's presented like sort of a partially a mockumentary and partially acted out. And then following that, you had Bananas. And then... And then after that, everything you always wanted to know about sex. And
that was 72?
72. And then in 73, you had Sleeper, which was his sci-fi movie.
People love that. I've never watched it, but apparently, like, it's a thing.
You should.
People
I
really.
think you might. I think you
I'm not opposed to watching any Woody Allen movie, except for the old man stuff. Curse of the Jade Scorpion. That was an old man movie that I watched.
So the final film, though, of his goofball run was, in my opinion, his best of them. The 1975 movie Love and Death, which is a parody of, it's a satire of Russian literature, and it is so incredibly smartly written and funny, and if you are even slightly familiar with it, I recommend it. But
I think that one might be on Filmstruck.
Oh yeah, if you have a chance to see that, I want your opinion on that, Bill. If you have a chance,
I have to cast it from my phone because it's not on Roku yet. Filmstruck.
I could,
I could watch it from my computer. It's no big deal. But anyways, so I reviewed films. I reviewed Bananas for this column about Filmstruck. And the only movie of his I was familiar with from that time was Sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, going into it, I was thinking, okay, goofy with lightheartedness. That's what I was kind of thinking. What I ended up getting was a movie that was completely 100% acid.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a trip.
Mm-hmm. Bananas is all over the place.
It's all over the place, but it's not. What's the word for it? It's not incoherent. I wouldn't call it that. It's maybe incohesive.
What's the difference? You gotta. What's the difference?
Incoherent would be hard to understand. Incohesive means it's like, it's not like one straight form.
It doesn't quite come together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can agree with that.
I would say that was on purpose. He did that on purpose. The movie is about Woody Allen playing this very nebbish who works at a company that where he does his job is he's a product tester, and he tests out like this Charlie Chaplin mechanical thing that like it's like an office desk.
It's an office desk exerciser.
Yes. So all these office desk products are like exercise equipment, and of course it all goes wrong after a couple of moments. It's very Charlie Chaplin-esque. In fact, this movie, a lot of his early comedies borrowed from silent comedies or the Groucho Marx comedies. But anyways, it's about he falls in love with this hippie girl, and he starts going to protests and demonstrations to kind of get in her good graces, and eventually finds his way into her pants. Eventually, that's another key here. Woody is extremely horny in this movie.
That's not just exclusive to this movie.
Or to movies in general of his. Usually, it's not even exclusive to his cinematic portrayal. It's also his real life portrayal. He's very much a horny guy. Not to delve into, his delicate things, whatever you want to call them. But delicate, yeah. No, this movie finds him visiting a foreign country in South America, in which there's a revolution brewing, and the local government sees this as an opportunity, this American visiting them, as an opportunity for propaganda and to maybe hold off the revolution. He ends up falling in with the rebellion by accident, completely by accident. And the whole time he's like trying to find a way out of it. He's kind of squirmy about the whole situation, and through one circumstance or another ends up becoming the new Presidente, the new leader of this nation. And
now, one thing to remember, one thing we haven't mentioned is this movie is very much about the way South America had a lot of political instability, and you would have many military coups. The movie opens up with Howard Cosell of the wide world of sports presenting a assassination live on television.
And then he comes back later, but we'll get to that because like every appearance he has in the film is like they were just like, do as you do on sports shows, and he said, "All right,
okay, I'll go ahead and do that."
He is great. He is so great.
Yeah. And so anyway, Bananas. It's this. I could talk like at length about like this movie, but to really like boil it down, it's acid in the same way that a Jodorowsky movie kind of is, almost not quite spiritual, but it's very lucid. It's very very high. I mean that literally, like it is a high movie.
There's a lot of symbolism in the movie, and one of my favorite visual gags in the movie is when Woody Allen's character. By the way, his character is even more Jewish than Woody Allen. It's Fielding Mellish.
Fielding Mellish.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking Bill A used the adjective nebbish, and I kept thinking Felix Nebbish. I was like, that's his name, Felix Nebbish.
No, I think that's what they were going for. I think that's what they were going for. Yeah.
So anyway, there's a scene in the movie where Fielding is at a psychoanalyst, and he's describing his dream. And his dream involved him strapped to a wooden cross and being carried by monks down this busy, crowded street. And the monks come to an empty parking space and attempt to parallel park. But before they can parallel park his cross, another cross breaks in and steals the spot. And then the monks get into a
fight with the monks. Yeah. So he's like, "Can you help me, Doc? What does this mean? Does this mean what is it? About me? I don't know.
One of my favorite
words
sketches
cannot
in the film.
describe that symbolism.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Again, is that it's like he's also very critical of psychoanalysis.
Yes.
He finds that subject to be very funny because it's open for multiple interpretations, and it's almost pointless in some ways, according to him. He's got like a similar view that Lars von Trier might have, except von Trier is more aggressive in his. Woody just finds it funny, but that scene in particular, I think, was meant to just be straight up, like, what the fuck is going on? This doesn't mean anything. It's just a dream.
One of Woody Allen's best stand-up jokes, and I believe he worked it into Annie Hall also, was a joke about him saying that I recently failed my metaphysics final because I was looking into the soul of the person sitting next to me.
Yeah. No one else gets that. That's too funny.
Yeah.
I failed my what was it? What did you say? I failed
metaphysics.
My physics exam recently because I was looking into the soul of the person in front of me.
Woody Allen's movies in the 70s seem to be. He's got a pretty good track record across the board.
Another thing that is great about Bananas, by the way, is the hilarious and creative score by Marvin Hamlish.
Marvin Hamlish.
Yeah, the music in the movie is a mixture of Cuban guitar. There's this great orchestral expanse that goes on in between lines, and even gunshots are used as part of the score. It's very fun and entertaining.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie worth seeking out. 100%. I don't think I rated it like nearly as high as it probably ought to be. I think my initial rating was like 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was.
Are you grading it? Are you grading it on a curve with other Woody Allen films?
I could be. Maybe on a different level. I was.
One thing
perhaps I was thinking.
Bananas is a movie that if you watch it again, there's so many jokes you'll catch that you missed the first time. Also, did you by any chance catch Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, I did. I immediately caught. I was like, "That's Stallone on the train." And what surprised me even more was that Woody actually stood up to him.
Yes, he's a subway thug that Woody Allen stands up to, and then learns a bit of a lesson. Tries to get off the subway.
Sorry.
I loved it when Mellish was trying to buy a porn magazine. So he's, I'll get a Time mag, I'll get this, and I'll just throw this in there too. And then the guy's like, "Oh, he wants a skank."
Yeah.
How much sell these anymore?
How much? Who put this out?
Yeah, how much for orgasm?
This is for orgasm, Vinny.
And to be
this guy.
The porn mags that he's picking out all have just horrible names because there's like orgasm, there's screw. Just stuff like that.
That was a real one though back in the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say Screw. Yeah, Screw magazine was real.
Anyway,
that just dropped off right there once we mentioned
knowledge
of Screw.
I've heard it in comedy contexts. I don't know.
Oh yeah, well, I'll bet.
I think that was
I was gonna say.
I forget the name of
the magazine must predate my birth. Like, what would I know?
This was like a 70s thing, but I read up on it based on like from documentaries, like the documentary about the Deep Throat movie, and I forget who was the guy that ran it, but he was like a shameless pornographer who was a real douchebag. People genuinely did not like this guy, so it makes sense that he would have this.
Guys, listen to this. This is great. In 1977, Alabama Governor George Wallace. That's George, I am a racist fucker, Wallace.
But he got shot, right?
Yes, he got shot.
Yeah.
But anyway, in 1977, George Wallace sued Screw magazine for $5 million for publishing a claim that he had learned to perform sexual acts from reading their magazine.
Oh.
I read about that, yeah.
That's hilarious.
I've never read about that. Yeah, that's funny.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
To wrap this all up regarding magazines, what am I going to do with 45 subscriptions to Vibe?
Yeah, really.
I definitely got the number wrong, but I just wanted to throw that line out there.
Okay, so what we'll do actually. Here's a thought, because I actually do. I'm at a time constraint. Hawk, how about we discuss Micmacs and true stories next week? Because Bill Leon said he's interested in talking true stories, and he may be seeing it by next week.
Okay.
Do you have to go?
I have in the next couple minutes. I'm going to have to leave, so that's why I want to wrap things up. on my side. If you guys want to continue talking, I mean, there's other topics you can explore.
I watched Stuart Saves His Family, and I watched it to talk about it on the show. And I thought I was like, this is just going to be some dumb, goofy shit that I watched to talk about on the show. But it wasn't. It was more than that. Like, Stuart Saves His Family was kind of cool.
Okay, I have a couple minutes to discuss Stuart, if you'd like.
Stuart Smalley. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me.
People like me.
Yeah, man. I did not know about this. I did not grow up with this. I'd never seen it. And then Ken, we were talking about SNL stuff.
SNL movies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he showed me this, and I was like, what? This is so weird. You know what I mean?
So for those who don't know, Al Franken, who is now a senator for the state of Minnesota, is he was a writer for Saturday Night Live for years, and eventually he earned his way onto camera for a few sketches. The most famous of that being the show Daily Affirmations with Stuart Smalley. And it was a very simple sketch. He was usually on his own, but sometimes he had a guest. One famous episode was when he helped Michael Jordan come to terms with his own psychological illnesses.
I loved it. There was one episode. Where he actually had Al Gore on.
Yes,
and he had Al Gore look into the mirror and say, "I did not win the election."
Yeah,
that was in 2002. That was like a special.
Yeah, that was later.
But anyway, so the sketch Daily Affirmations. The joke of this is it's a parody of small, like, public access psychology shows in which the person is not by any means a licensed psychologist, and probably the reason why they're doing the show to begin with is because they have their own problems that they've never addressed. And through, in every Daily Affirmations sketch, you get the distinct sensation that Stuart is dealing with some serious fucking issues, and it gets more and more self-confessing as it goes along. Mm-hmm. And that's where the film Stuart Save His Family comes into, and it basically it expands the scope of this of actually addressing what those issues are, which it turns out is mostly a family history of alcoholism, addiction, and compulsive lying.
Yeah, his family's fucked up.
Well, what I like too about this movie is it reveals that he's a member of every possible anonymous group.
Yes,
that could have been present in a sketch prior to the film, or I know that a lot of the material for this film came from a book that Al Franken had done, like a Stuart Smalley book.
You're right. He actually wrote a book that was based on the Stuart character. The book was called "I'm Good Enough, I'm Smart Enough, and Doggone It, People Like Me: Daily Affirmations by Stuart Smalley."
Right.
So anyway, but the plot of the movie, Stuart is he's the disciple of the 12-step program, basically, and he loses his public access TV show, and he basically decides to go home to his family to try to recuperate. And he discovers that maybe it's time to try to provide the support to try to save his family from all of their various addictions. One of them is a brother who's into drugs, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, and then the father, who is a serious alcoholic, the sister who has overeating issues.
Oh, wait. The dad is played by the guy who's the judge in Ghostbusters 2, the guy that says, "Burn at the stake!" That's who plays Stuart's dad in this, and he's a prick. He's a son of a bitch.
The actor you're referring to, Harris Yulin, is a character actor who's in a ton of great stuff. He's in Scarface, Ghostbusters 2, as you mentioned. He's in Clear and Present Danger. He's in the movie Training Day, if you've ever seen Training Day.
I have seen. Well, not in years. That's a movie I need to rewatch.
To bring our conversation full circle, he was in Cutthroat Island.
Oh, yeah.
So Bill Leon, what did you like about Stewart Saves His Family? Why did you think it was better than you were originally thinking it was going to be?
Because this film has those little traps of being an SNL character movie, and most of that has to do with his public access TV show getting canceled. But when they get into the stuff with his family, it's like, whoa, like you guys, like somebody really took the time to like flesh this out, because it does, like, it's believable and it works. It's absurd, but it's kind of like
it deals with the matter of addiction on a serious level while also being a comedy. Now, and I think that's what turned off audiences to an extent, in that it's not a straightforward comedy. It's got some very dark moments throughout it.
Bill, you said you've seen this movie?
Yeah.
I think if you were to cut out like I said, the SNL movie character bits of like that really reflect on the sketch, and if this was just a movie about a fucked up family, John Waters could have made this.
Potentially. It actually does. You know what? When you think about it, if you've seen his later movies, it does not feel that out of place with movies like Serial Mom in tone.
Yeah. That's what surprised me going into this, is because like there's a balance to it. There is the sections where you feel like, okay, this is Stewart on his own, but like Vincent D'Onofrio and I don't remember who the two female actresses were that play his mom and his sister,
as opposed to the male actresses.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, you threw me off.
The mom is played by Shirley Knight, and the character Julia is Laura San Giacomo. Julia, I believe, is a sister, if I'm not mistaken.
The stuff of them as a dysfunctional family worked so well, and it was just like it elevated the whole thing.
Right, and the movie ultimately also has a very good message to it, in that ultimately you can't save everyone. You can't save everyone if you try, but trying is important. If someone truly is in trouble, they also have to accept their own. They have to accept and choose to improve themselves.
Right.
And if you spend your entire life trying to save other people, you're gonna end up losing yourself.
I loved how in this movie Stewart was really into Fig Newtons. After all these years,
yeah, that could have been product placement. Like somebody might have gotten a check for that, but it was fun.
But here's the thing.
Funny.
When you think about it, the Fig Newton is like the definition of the cookie of the 90s, that a kind of
so you would go to your grandma's house and she'd be like, I have some Fig Newtons in the cabinet, would you like one?
Dude. I know what he's talking about. I totally do.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing you would expect someone who's just completely non-offensive to offer you.
I'm just sitting here eating Fig Newtons, crying.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I do need to cut out here, so I thank you for joining me here. And do you guys have any other topics to discuss?
Are we going to talk about? You guys want to talk about this Spider-Man thing that's going on right now, where what they just released like an advertisement of Spider-Man? You know what I'm saying?
No, I haven't seen this.
I saw it. I don't remember what it was advertised. Oh, it's.
So you guys go into that, and I'm gonna cut out. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night.
See you.
There's a Spider-Man commercial advertising the NBA playoffs, and you guys haven't seen this?
No,
but I'm thinking this whole cross promotion with Marvel movies is getting seriously out of hand.
Let's talk about that because I agree. Every single time a Marvel movie comes out, I go to 7-Eleven and it's like they got a fucking commemorative cup of like whatever the hot property of the week is.
7-Eleven's always been doing that. They used to do that with the WWE. They used to do that with
they did
all sorts of other.
They did a thing with the Simpsons movie where they turned certain 7-Elevens into Quickie Marts across the country.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten to go there, I guess, but it's like I wouldn't have gone out of my way to do it. I don't know. That's
the problem with Delaware. I don't think they would have gotten one.
No, yeah, we didn't get one. But they did have like these donut specials, and you could get Slurpees with Simpson characters on them and stuff. I actually wasn't living in Delaware when the Simpsons movie came out. I was living in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
For a brief period of time. But I remember my cousin went to go. We're getting horribly off topic here. Marvel movies, advertising, this Spider-Man thing. I'm telling you, there's this ad that I saw. I don't even think that I pulled it up. I think it was just like an actual ad that played on the video, and it was Tony Stark and Jon Favreau. What's his character's name? Jon Favreau.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah,
I want to say his name is Lee or Rocky or something. Or
he was a big plot point in Iron Man 3, and I don't remember what his fucking name is.
He's the driver character. Yeah.
It's
Cabby.
I don't know. Yeah,
Cabby? Is it? I don't know. But anyway, it's like Robert Downey Jr. is getting ready to go, I guess, see the NBA Finals. And then it cuts, like he calls Spider-Man and he's like, "You want to go to the NBA Finals?" And then Spider-Man has this guy webbed up on the wall behind him. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to the NBA Finals." And this guy's behind him is like, "Does that mean you're going to let me go?" And he's like, "Nice try, punk." And then he leaves.
It was Hogan.
Hogan.
Oh, Hogan. Yeah.
Hoagie?
Happy
Yeah, Happy Hoagie.
Hoagie.
Yeah.
Hoagie. Okay.
Hoagie.
What do you guys think about Spider-Man Homecoming?
I hope it's good.
I haven't seen it.
I hope it's good too.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I
very-
hope it's good.
Right, but what I mean,
expectations.
have you seen the trailers that they've released?
I have seen the trailers, and I have also seen the poster. And sweet Jesus, that is bad.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I'd call any of it bad, but
no, the poster is fucking bad. Have you seen it?
Which poster are we talking about? Because I've seen one.
The new one, the one that's the collage that's like photoshopped and it's got every character ever on there.
Yeah, it's got like different characters superimposed their faces, kind of like the Iron Man 2 trailer was. And let me just I'm pulling it up so I can screen share with you, Bill, because it's
I
bad.
gotta turn my camera.
It's not good.
I gotta turn my camera. I have not seen this poster, so let's check this out.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the movie itself, while I get this ready to show you, it's
I think they've given the whole plot away in the trailer.
They have, and it's weird because the trailers seem like
the trailer goes over.
Trailers seem like they've been put together by different people. You know?
Yeah, I feel that as well. But the first trailer that they released, I feel like went over Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I've seen the goddamn movie. I get where the fuck it's gonna start. I get where the fuck it's gonna end.
Right.
And I feel like I hope to God that I don't go see this movie and there's nothing that I get out of it. Like, that's my ultimate concern here.
Yeah.
That the trailer gives away what's going to happen. And I don't want to sit here, like, my instinct is to just break down the trailer, but we don't have time for that, and I don't, I'm not going to waste your time with that. I'm just saying, you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No,
but
totally
I actually really expect the movie to be good. I'm kind of excited for it.
I like the trailer, but it just goes over a lot of the plot. Like, he gets the suit. It's before Act 3, he's going to lose the suit. Act 3 is going to take place. He's not going to have the suit. Hey, airplane. Superman returns. Let's have it. That was
I can't get the screen share to work, so so I'm gonna post the picture in the Facebook chat.
I was gonna say I've had my camera on. I've had my camera on for a minute. I don't have you. I'll go to Facebook when we're done broadcasting. What's coming out next week?
Captain Underpants and Wonder Woman.
That comes out this weekend.
They both do, yeah.
Wonder Woman has these women-only screenings that a lot of guys are apparently complaining about.
Yeah, we got one happening in New Orleans too. Yeah.
Right. Have you? I've apparently people have been complaining about it enough to where a YouTuber I follow made an editorial on the subject, and I was like, I didn't know this was a thing, and B, like, why do people care? Like, to let it happen. Fuck it. Like, maybe it'll make more money that way. I don't know.
Here's the poster, by the way, for Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's just bad. The Photoshop is really garbage.
Where did you post it? In the chat?
It's my face. Look at my face.
Oh, I have to turn my camera back on. I got you.
It's your face.
Look at my face.
Oh,
yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
like I think the worst part.
Tom Holland front and center does not look good.
No, he's fine. It's the Iron Man that's down at the bottom there that's really bad.
Michael Keaton looks out of place just because he's Michael Keaton.
It's also the HD sheen of each photoshopped image.
You opened it in MS
The lighting doesn't work for any of them.
Like,
Rickjaw,
I love lighting. You opened this in MS Paint.
Yeah,
I don't know why. That is just super delightful to me. Who's this?
The fact that it's in Microsoft Paint kind of elevated the shittiness of the entire piece.
Oh, is that Marissa Tomei? What the hell is this?
Marissa Tomei is the
I see her. Oh god, this is a shit poster. It's boy,
bad. It's busy in all the wrong ways.
This is ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And on that note, should we shut off the podcast?
Yeah, let's call it.
I feel like all right, okay. You know, we
yes, next week, Wonder Woman, Captain Underpants. Wonder Woman right now is rocking a 94 motherfucking % on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie is apparently really good, which is strange.
We'll find out. I hope it's good.
And I've heard from people who have seen Captain Underpants early, and they said it is a good movie. You know, if you've read the books, they said fans of the books will be very happy with the film. It even has a flip-a-rama action sequence, which if you haven't read the books,
I have read the books. I read the books when I was a little kid.
Yeah, I read them when I was in 2nd grade, I think. Every time there's an action sequence, the book is designed in a way that you can pull back the flap and like flip it like those, you know, moving picture page things. It's called a flip-a-rama in the movies. I mean, in the books. And apparently there's a flip-a-rama sequence in the movie.
That is
so. I'm kind of excited for it. Fans of the books it is
that's
funny.
The thing. I haven't been excited for it, and I read like the first.
Yeah.
Which ones?
I think you cut off.
So what do you know about Captain Underpants, Bill?
Just what I've seen in the trailers. I've never read the book. I think when it came out, I was reading like Goosebumps.
Okay.
Or something. Like those were the books that I kind of grew up on.
The Captain Underpants books are funny because they're kind of send-ups of the superhero genre. So like on the cover of the book, it would be like, you know, little explodey word advertisements like action, laughs, and laughs was spelled LAFFS, and like romance, just kidding, suspense, you know, like the books are very earnest send-ups of the superhero genre. So I'm hoping the movie can do the same thing.
You know what's funny about this, now that I'm thinking about it, is that I had my mom pulled like a box of old books that I had and showed them to my niece. And she was like, Captain Underpants, what's this? And now, like, she watches new movies, you know what I'm saying? So she's gonna see. She's definitely gonna like bug my sister to go see this. What? Yeah, cool. Dave Pilkey's making some money, regardless of the quality.
I hope it'll be good. I'll be seeing it probably tomorrow night.
I've seen Nick Kroll promoting it on like Conan and stuff. I don't know why Nick Kroll. I get it. He does the German. He does the professor character.
Yeah,
Professor Poopy Pants. I think that's his name.
It is.
It is
Professor Poopy Pants.
It is. We were we were super young when these books came out.
I'm curious to see how the juvenile humor has aged, because even when I was younger, I could recognize that it was deliberately just not amateurish, but it was very deliberately like, oh, it's so funny. His name has the word poop in it. You know, but it was also done in a way that it felt like it was self-aware of how dumb it was. It I don't know. I'm gonna be really disappointed if this is not funny.
Yeah, because it has talent behind it. So
it does.
We'll see what happens.
It's directed by the guy who made Turbo. Fuck. Okay.
I've never watched that.
Turbo's not terrible. It's just it's a movie. It's just, hey, snails are racers. Like, it's one of those movies that kind of subverts the characteristics of the main character's species. You know,
did you watch the animated Netflix series of Turbo?
No. Should I?
No, but that's what I know of it. Is I never watched the CGI film, but I would see my nieces watching the Netflix series, and I was like, "This is weird. Why? What's his name? Ken Jeong plays like a woman in it."
Okay,
that's in the movie too. That's not just exclusive to the TV show. I don't know. I never felt the need to get into Turbo personally, but
yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's good. We'll see. I will probably watch it tomorrow night, and I will let you guys know if it's any good.
Tomorrow's Thursday. It releases tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's like around 7 or 8 or something.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to hear what's going on with that. Yeah, you guys want to get out of here. We all want to get out of here. So let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrap it up, B.
Wrap it up.
I'm back from France. Kathy Griffin, I have a special message for you. Don't you ever scare my son.
Turn off
the way that you did.
Turn off the stream.
It's ending it with the